Okay, I just got my bow back from the shop, and today we're just gonna kind of go over all of the updates that I made to my bow coming into the next season. So the first thing that needed to be done was I had to get my limbs replaced. I did have a crack, probably about a 2 or 3 inch crack on one of my limbs here. This is the Mathews lift. It's not the Lift X, but it's the Mathews lift from last year. And as most people in the archery world know, they had some issues with the limbs. It's an amazing bow. They had issues with the limbs being cracked. So mine did actually have a crack. I didn't even know it. Brought it into the shop and they pointed it out to me. So luckily it was covered under warranty. It just took about 2 weeks to get in and then have it replaced. So while I was there, I did some other upgrades to my bow to optimize this setup for next hunting season. The main thing I wanted to do was just balance the bow out. The quiver that I had on and the way that my sight is, and I'm also keeping the legs on this. My bow was very front heavy and right heavy. I wanted to try to balance that out a little bit better. So the first thing I did was get a new quiver. This is the Mathews Arrow Web. I wanted to go with the Mathews Low Pro quivers, but with the way that my sight is set up and the way that my arrow rest is set up, I wasn't gonna have enough clearance with the Low Pro quiver. Went with this Arrow Web. Seems to be good so far. It's much quieter getting the arrows in and out than my cheap Trophy Ridge. It's detachable and this one holds 6 arrows, so far so good with that. Here are some of the other upgrades that I did. I got new strings. These are the Gas X high octane strings. Got them in black with green, and I think they look really sharp. Next, what I did was I completely updated my stabilizer setup. Before I just had a 10-inch bee stinger up front, and that was it. I didn't have any weight to kind of counteract all of that forward and right weight. The bar I have up front here is the AAE Mountain Series. This is a 12-inch bar with an 8-degree down adapter. And then on the back here, this back sidebar, this is also an AAE Mountain Series. This is a 10-inch, and I have it with a V-mount here, this AAE gripper. And this just seems to balance the bow so much more. I mean, before when I would hold the bow out, it would just immediately tip forward and to the right. Now it is much more balanced, and I really notice it at full draw when I'm holding. My pin float is just so much more steady. It does still move a little bit, but it's just a much more steady float, and I like that. One thing with this setup, my bow is now definitely quite a bit heavier, so that's something I have to get used to. I think it's worth the trade-off because of how steady I can hold and how steady that float is. So just got to keep practicing and getting used to that, and I think I'm going to be in good shape. So definitely a big fan of these stabilizers. The weight that I have is I have 2 ounces up front and 5 in the back, and I'm going to keep playing with that and try and dial that in to see what works best. So far that seems to be the best. Next, talk about grip. I did go ahead and get one of the new Mathews Bond grips. This is the Contour, and it has a little bit of a bevel or a bump there where your hand and your thumb kind of fits perfectly into that groove. So far I like it. Other than that, the only change that I've made is my nocks. So I was running nocturnals, and they're great. They're really expensive and kind of a pain in the butt to turn on and off. Somebody recommended these deep power lighted nocks. You can get these on Amazon. There's a switch, you can turn them on and off, and they're super bright. So far they seem to be good, and so far I'm really happy with this entire setup. I've only put about 50 arrows through it. Still kind of needs to be broken in, and I got to get used to the feel of everything, but so far I'm liking it. The biggest thing that I'm noticing is just how great that float is and the hold with these stabilizers. I mean, it makes a huge difference. I'm excited. I'm gonna keep tinkering, keep messing around and getting things dialed in, but appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.